Greetings everyone and welcome to another edition of Crosshairs. I'm Randolph Ramsey. I'm going to make you guys a promise. This is going to be the sexiest episode of Crosshairs ever. With me to prove that is Dan and Laura. G'day Dan and Laura, how are you?
Setting that bar pretty hard.
Oh dear, what are we going to do?
Because there is a sexy related thing to this week's show.
Us.
It doesn't involve us, it doesn't involve us.
We'll tell you a bit more
Thank Christ.
We'll tell you a bit more about that in the news. But Dan, what is on the show this week, man?
It's our last show before E3 2009, so we've packed in an absolute corker for you. We're going to find out what exactly War is good for with a look at Arma 2. We're also going to get to play as the Horseman War himself in Darksiders and get a chat with someone from THQ about this new action title. We're going to strap on our jetpacks for a look at Dark Void on the Xbox 360. There's also a lot of news going on, including some sexy game bannings, which we just talked about. We'll check in with the community from our recent infamous hands-on event, Sydney, news charts, competitions, our thoughts on E3, and much, much more, so stay tuned.
You know, I for one am glad we can say the word sexy in Crosshairs without it being a
Sexy
crude innuendo.
that.
Yeah, because there's actually...
Sexy. Sounds sexy.
Okay, there's actually a good reason we're mentioning sexy. Laura, what is happening in the news this week and what is it got to do with sexy?
That's right, more on sexy later, but we're going to kick things off with a look at Necrovision. The game was initially refused classification for its excessive violence, blood spray and dismemberment, but after a few modifications, the board has given it an M rating. Meanwhile, we've just heard that yet another game has been refused classification, Sexy Poker. No, you heard right, it's a WiiWare game that, surprise surprise, uses reward-based Unity. And stay tuned for Ratings Watch where Dan will have more details on the sexiness that is Sexy Poker. Speculation about the new Metal Gear Solid game continues this week, with Konami's teaser campaign now seemingly confirming a new MGS game. The teaser site for the game has been running hot all month, with a series of countdowns turning into even more countdowns. This week, the site began teasing the letter E and the number 3, hinting the big reveal will happen at E3, as well as flashing the letter S and the number 5, sustaining speculation of an MGS5 reveal. But now, the teaser site is flashing 2 new letters, P and R, and if you wait long enough, the face of a younger looking snake pops up. At least it appears to be a younger looking snake, but could very well be Big Boss, due to the fact that he's wearing an eye patch. So there you have it, it now looks almost certain that Konami's new game will be a Metal Gear game, and could very well be a prequel. I guess we'll all have to wait for E3 to find out more. On the subject of teasing, much of what we've seen so far of Modern Warfare 2 has been a tease, but unlike Konami, Infinity Ward has made good on their promise to reveal more details about the game with a new trailer. The trailer, titled Reveal, was released this week and shows more than 2 minutes of gameplay and cutscenes. It also seems to confirm the game's US and European Special Forces versus Rogue Russians storyline that carries on from the first Modern Warfare. Big news from the US has just come in about the next GTA 4 expansion. Rockstar revealed that the expansion will be titled The Ballad of Gay Tony and will arrive in the US in fall this year as a $20 Xbox Live download or a $40 disc bundled with The Lost and Damned. The expansion will focus on Louis Lopez, the assistant of Anthony Gay Tony Prince, associate of the Ancelotti crime family in GTA 4. Unlike The Lost and Damned, which focus on Liberty City grimy underworld, The Ballad of Gay Tony will look at the more upscale after-hours activity side of the city, promising an overdose of guns, glitz and grime, according to Rockstar. Finally, a big thank you to all of you guys who turned out for the GSAU exclusive Infamous event on Saturday. The hands-on event was held at Sony's offices in Sydney, where 20 invited community members got the chance to play some Infamous, eat pizza and chat to the GSAU crew. Stay tuned for the end of the show where Cos will tell us more about what happened and show us some footage from the day. And moving on to charts for this week, Pokemon Platinum on the DS has managed to knock Wii Fit off the top spot, while Guitar Hero World Tour on the Wii makes a surprising entry at number 9. And that's all for this week's news on Crosshairs.
It's Ratings Watch time, and this week the following titles have been rated by the Classification Board of Australia. First up this week, Farm 51 developed World War I vampire shooter Necrovision was recently banned by the Australian Classification Board for its copious blood spray, dismemberment, and the ability to mess around with corpses. After a quick edit which sees blood replaced with dust, the game has now been re-rated M. No Aussie release date just yet, but it is heading to the PC. Action-adventure Wii title Cursed Mountain, which sees you climbing the Himalayas on a quest to find your lost brother, and is set during the late 1980s, has this week been rated M. No Aussie release date just yet, but it's launching in North America at the end of June. Arma 2, the follow-up to Bohemia Interactive's Arma Armed Assault, and adds new characters, improved AI, and new online multiplayer modes, has this week been rated MA15+. Again, there's no firm Aussie release date just yet, but it'll be assaulting its way onto the Xbox 360 and PC platforms. The next installment in the hugely popular Battlefield series, Battlefield 1943, has this week been rated M for, no surprises, violence. There's no Aussie release date info for the game just yet, but stay tuned and we'll bring it to you as Battlefield prepares to invade the PC, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And lastly this week, Australians won't be getting their hands on Naughty Nurses in Sexy Poker, the upcoming WiiWare game. It's been banned by the Australian Classification Board, and while we don't have any information on it just yet, we know it was refused classification for offering a sexual incentive for gameplay. We'll keep you in the loop as soon as we hear more.
So guys,
Big
you know,
show.
E3 is, next week. Everyone's been talking game predictions. I reckon there's going to be a big year for peripherals.
Big year for peripherals.
Big year for peripherals.
I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Easy money.
I
Yeah.
wonder what kind of wacky things they'll come up with though. Have you spent your whole life dreaming of becoming a rock star? Well, dream no more. With Rock Band, you can live out your dreams of stardom in the comfort of your own living room, without the unpleasantness of real-life band dynamics, cancelled schedules, pants disease, or illicit substance abuse. But what's every plastic peripheral wielding rock outfit need to complete their transformation into certified rock and roll Hall of Fame? A tour van, of course. For a limited time only, all Rock Band bundles will come with a free piece of the Rock Band tour van. Start collecting now! This week, part 1 of 80, The Side Mirror. Don't forget to buy your next Rock Band bundle the same time next week to collect piece 2. Collect the whole set, and remember, you ain't gonna rock like a real rock star without your very own tour van.
And just when you thought we couldn't get enough sexy into the show, we're going to bring on, well, probably the sexiest man in game show business is Mr. James Kozanecki. How are you, James?
Good, how are you, Andy?
Welcome.
Hope I can live up to that.
Welcome to the couch. You haven't been here for a little while,
I
have
know
you?
it's been a little while, but I've been away, so...
That's right.
Where's your nurse outfit?
Yeah.
You promised you were going to bring one back.
I don't know if we're allowed that on this show. Not after Sexy Poker being banned.
Yeah, we might be banned, but
Sexy
hopefully...
Crosshairs is next in the firing line.
I think we're always sexy crosshairs, but we're talking about preview section now. And the first game we're going to look at this week is Arma 2. We got James to actually have a look at this this game because he is our resident army guy, aren't you? You're a go-to
Yeah.
man for military.
Yeah, so if anyone's played Operation Flashpoint, it plays very similar. It's being done by the same developers as the original Operation Flashpoint and Arma 1. It's set in the fictional Russian break-off state of Chernyssia. So basically, a group of insurgents have taken over the southern area of that state and are hoping to bring it back and take it back to the motherland and reunite it with Russia. And then, sorry,
man. So what did you actually play when you saw this one?
basically, we started off just at the beginning. So the government's called in for NATO to help them put down the insurgents, and you play as a Marine squad called the Razor One. And they're sent in via an aircraft carrier into a small town to sort of like make a staging area for where the Marines are going to land. And we had to clear out a town. There are a lot of ducks that had to be shot in the process. There was feathers everywhere.
Wow, they have duck physics. That's awesome.
War is not glorious.
No.
Now, cause I gotta admit, I wasn't big on the first Arma. So how does it actually, I guess, evolve from that first game? What's new to this? What's different?
Well, one of the biggest additions to this is the graphics engine. The original Arma was built off a modified engine of Operation Flashpoint. So the graphics have changed a lot. I mean, it's almost comparable to Crysis, and you do need like a really hefty machine to run on it. A few of the controls have been tweaked. It's still like very keyboard heavy, so you need to have your fingers across all the keys and have set up some macros as well just to help it go.
That's a pretty bold statement, Mr. Kozanecki. It's on this level of Crisis and looks, huh?
Yeah, the machine they had running it was it's fairly new, and even it couldn't run it on full specs. And yeah, I'm not the first person to be comparing it to Crysis. It is really spec heavy, though they haven't like finalized the specs yet.
So Arma is actually a pretty hardcore military simulator, right? Like it's not your typical sort of like Halo shooter, is it?
No, well, Bohemia Interactive, they're the guys who, as I said, did Operation Flashpoint, which was a very like hardcore military sim. But they've also worked on a project called Virtual Battle Space, which is what the Australian Army and the Marines used to do training simulators before they go on deployment. So like it's built off of that engine. So it is very, very hardcore. One shot, one kill.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
Even like in the middle of firefights, you'll hear over the radio. If you get like, because when I was playing, I was just a lowly private. I was getting commands on who to shoot. So my squad leader would be like, shoot the guy at 12 o'clock. And then once you take him out, you've got to press the radio button and call it in, say, all right, target down, and you guys are clear to move. So yeah, like it is very, very intense on like the military.
Not one of your corridor shooters.
Oh no, it's nothing like Halo or anything like any of the regular first-person shooters. Even like Call of Duty, like it's pretty arcadey in comparison.
So one shot, one kill. Is it actually fun then? I mean, if you've got to be sneaking around the whole time, or
it makes it very tense because you are like as you said, yeah, you've got to focus on like keeping low, like making sure that every shot counts. And just like taking care of yourself. There's no like running into the middle of it and trying to shoot like 3 guys at once. This is not going to happen because the guys in the game are fairly accurate when they're shooting at you, so you'll get taken out very quickly.
And at what stage of the game do you get your regenerating shields and your jetpack?
Oh, that's when the mothership comes down and helps you.
Well, you did mention Crysis, so there's no aliens in this round.
Just Koreans.
Yeah.
Okay, cause when is Arma 2 out, man?
Arma 2 is coming out pretty soon for the PC for all you armchair generals out there. Having trouble with Street Fighter 4? Ever feel like you just can't win? Well, worry no more. For the low price of just $500, you get a special edition arcade-grade fighting stick. Plus, you'll get a real-life awesome bonus Asian guy to knock out your opponent. Victory, glory, ladies. Winning has never been so easy. Prices may not include the cost of maintaining your Street Fighter 4 champion.
From the gritty realism of Arma 2, we're gonna stick with that and go with the gritty realism of a jetpack and just basically, you know, skyjacking dudes out of planes. We're gonna talk.
It makes perfect sense. It's a very natural progression.
Yeah. Well, this is what this technology is 5-10 years away, if that, right?
I think we're looking down the barrel of jetpacks hopefully soon.
This is what we're talking about. We're talking about Dark Void, which Dan managed to get some hands on recently. Let's start with telling us a bit more about the game. Jetpacks, what's up?
Yeah, essentially, you're a guy named Will Gray. You're a pilot of some description. They're Capcom's saying kind of sketchy exactly on the details so far. But you're flying through the Bermuda Triangle. As the Bermuda Triangle has a habit of doing, it eats whatever it is you're doing, your plane, your boat.
Do you fly through it on the jetpack, or...?
No, this is before, and you turn up in an alternate reality, which is kind of like Earth, but not quite Earth.
Because they have way more jetpacks.
They have a lot more jetpacks. And never mind the fact that he's dead, inside you'll meet Nikola Tesla,
yes.
One of the famous inventors and engineers of the last couple of generations. He's in there and more than happy to help you out. There's a whole bunch of other humans stuck inside, and these things called the Watchers, which are kind of alien grubs living in T-800 Terminator suits.
Okay.
And it's your job to kill them and take everyone back to Earth.
When you say that, it sounds like Krang from Turtles. Do they look like Krang from
No,
Turtles?
well, they don't have the inside guts brain bit.
Yeah.
But similar concept.
When does John Connor come out?
I haven't seen him yet, but I imagine he's later in the game. Essentially, the version I saw, you have a jetpack, which is, I think, one of Tesla's generous offers to you. You fly around and you need to destroy anti-aircraft guns, so part of the armored force that you're working with can land.
So it is a third-person action game, right? Is it all in the air with the jetpack? Or how
Yeah,
does it
absolutely.
work?
They're describing it as Gears of War with a jetpack, and it's not unlike it.
Yeah.
It's very much a third-person shooter. The start of the level I saw, you'll need to, as I said, destroy the AA gun so that your troops can land, but you'll be able to do some cool stuff in the air as well. like take out the alien ships that are flying around. You can skyjack them by jumping on. There's a little mini game where you need to dodge the guns for a little bit, open a panel, punch them in the face, take control of it, and their weapons are slightly more powerful as well.
So what about if they're describing it as like Gears of War, does it have a cover system in the game?
It's a third-person game, so you can't do a third-person game anymore without a cover mechanic. So there is one in there. Essentially, it's the same sort of game on the air and in the ground, so you can still use your jetpack indoors. You can't fly the vehicles in there, which is a bit of a shame because we want to take one of those badass alien ships in there. But once you're on the ground, you'll be able to upgrade your weapons. There's a little bit of Halo about it as well, because they're grubs in suits, and once you take them out with machine guns, you can kick them over and stomp on them, and the goo comes out.
Because I think the jetpack actually has a lancer attached to it, so I think that's why they call it Gears of War.
We haven't seen the Lancer yet.
It's reverse into it. It's got chainsaws on the back.
Okay, so what did you actually? What did you think of the actual look of the game? Because it'll be pretty sort of big and fast paced, yeah.
Yeah, the environments themselves are looking like they're going to be pretty big. One of the big selling points that Capcom has been using so far is that if you can see it, you can climb on it, which is now kind of a common feature, but really long draw distances. We saw a canyon-style level with long, far-off kind of pillars and pylons you can climb on. There's nothing up there, but yeah, if you want to, you can crawl to the end of the universe.
Yeah.
And the indoor areas are very much kind of, mechanical-looking, subterranean, evil boss kind of levels.
Have they spoken about multiplayer at all in the game, or?
I don't think they're actually including a multiplayer component in this. They decide that they really need to focus on the single player. That's the excuse they use, and that they're working really hard on that.
Okay, just one last question then, Dan. This was a hands-off, I believe.
It was, yeah.
Did it look fun though? Did it look pretty good to play, or?
I think the real fun in this one could come from the indoor flying. It's really dangerous because the corridors are so small. But I think there's a lot of potential there as well. There's more than just your average fly in the air, land on the ground, shoot, hide behind stuff.
Okay, mate.
Sorry, one more question. If you fly indoors, can you fly through the roof?
No, but you will die if you fly into things at speed.
Okay, mate, when is this game out?
This one, unfortunately, doesn't have a firm date, but it looks like it'll be out sometime in 2009 on the Xbox Series 60 and the PlayStation 3. I think there's a PC SKU in there as well. Now that UFC Undisputed 2009 is out and on the market, you're going to need an edge. And what better way to show your manliness in the manliest of manly games than with the UFC Random Manliness Generator. Manly. I just totally crushed your pathetic attempts at domination, and I laugh at your effeminate ineptitude. That's right, if you download this add-on, the UFC Random Manliness Generator will automatically detect every time you win and secretly send you a completely manly putdown via text message so you can further humiliate your downed opponents.
That was a decent and not at all homoerotic match, but here's a tip for next time. Don't suck so much at life, little man.
The UFC Random Manliness Generator. You can't be a man without it.
Our final game for this week is Darksiders. It's a post-apocalyptic game, isn't it, Dan?
It is the post-apocalyptic game.
Yeah.
If ever there was a post-apocalyptic game, it's this.
Okay, we do have an interview with someone about Darksiders, but before we get to there, Dan and I actually got to play this a little bit, so we thought we'd share some of our thoughts on how it looked, how it played. So, Dan, what did you think, man?
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. In a nutshell, you play as War, who's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and you are in trouble with this kind of spiritual counselor. You get sent back to Earth, and they have you on a leash, and you need to find out who is actually causing the Armageddon.
So is it like a sort of open world game, or is it level based?
No, it's both actually. It's very much level in the sense that it's not a corridor game, so you don't go point A to point B. It is very much an open world game, but you do level up as a character. So there's slight RPG elements. It's a little bit DMC at times. You've got a lot of different skills you can assign to the various face fighters as well.
Yeah, very DMC, very God of War is the vibe I got from it. And I don't know, they kept sort of, when we went to a demo of this, they kept sort of linking it to Zelda and saying it's sort of open world in the way that Zelda games are open world, but it's linear in that you have set quests that you have to do within that open world. So.
And later in the game you'll get elements like Link's Boomerang that you'll be able to throw and explode bombs and destroy enemies at distance.
You get his flute as well?
We haven't seen the flute yet.
Yeah.
But let's not rule it out.
The action was pretty good, I thought, Dan. What did you think? Like, it didn't seem to offer anything too new, but I personally only got about 15 minutes with it. You got a little bit more. What were your thoughts?
I got a little bit more time. It's looking great. It's due out later in the year and it's starting to show a lot of polish. I think this one is actually, if you like Gears of War, if you like God of War, if you like DMC style games, and you want a slightly more complex element, then yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Okay, Dan, who did we actually get to speak to about this game?
We caught up with Lewis Gigliotti. He's one of the producers at THQ, and he ran us through Darksiders and what to expect when it comes out in September this year. Hey guys, we're at THQ headquarters in Sydney to have a wander through their ready-made cathedral and check out upcoming title Darksiders for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And I've got Lewis Gigliotti from THQ. G'day, Lewis.
How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, most obvious question is, give us an overview of this title. Tell us what people can expect when Darksiders ships later this year.
Well, basically, what we're trying to bring to the table is the next evolution of the genre, the action combat adventure genre. You're going to see not only a very solid narrative and fiction throughout the game, but it's less of a linear experience. There's exploratory aspects of the game that we feel is really evolving the genre to the next level.
Now, you mentioned exploratory. It's a big element in this game, and it's not your standard run-of-the-mill corridor shooter. What are you doing to mix up the gameplay and get people backtracking?
Well, what we're doing is, there's these nice, concise, linear sections, but they open up throughout the game into these more, like, if you want to call them almost hub-like areas that have multiple areas you can go, but there's also areas that are locked off. And as you progress through the game, we give you reasons to go back to these areas to unlock new areas to keep exploring through the game, and we're constantly feeding the player really fun things to do and fun things to discover throughout the game and give them a good reason to come back.
Now, artistic inspiration is obviously a big question on this one. It's got a really unique look to it. What do you attribute that to?
Well, Joe, really, at the end of the day, it's his vision. The game, you mentioned these biblical aspects of the game. It's really a page out of Revelations, and it's really Joe's vision of what that might have looked like. And he's just expanded on it, and the team's really taken his vision and over time adopted it, and they've really been able to expand on it, and we're really, really happy with the look and feel of the game right now.
What about gameplay inspirations for this? Who are you drawing from?
Well, a lot of different types of games. There's obviously an aspect of combat systems that you'll see in like the Gods of War, but really, Zelda's a big influence for us, and more kind of the exploratory. We're not going full on, open world kind of game, but we're definitely taking a little piece from the God of War kind of linear genre, but we're mixing up with a little bit more things to do a la Zelda.
Are you at all worried about being drawn lines between Darksiders and, say, God of War, some other titles, DMC, for example, the skill-based systems there?
Well, you always run the risk. That's part of the genre. One of the things is when you commit to a genre, there are tenets of that genre that you focus on. The trick isn't worrying about being compared to it. It's really, what are you bringing to the table? How are you evolving the genre? Are you doing something new? Is something inspiring that people are going to latch onto? And that's really what we focused on with it. And again, we feel like we're evolving the genre to a point where we're really happy with it.
What about the upgrade system? I've noticed that there's a weapon-based upgrade system, there's a skill-based upgrade system. How are they going to actually unlock during the gameplay?
Well, they that's how we're kind of ramping the game, so to speak, right? And there's multiple ways that happens. Some of it is just straight through combat. As you get better with combat, things start getting weapon upgrades, move upgrades. You can also collect soul essence, and you use that as your currency in the game to actually buy new moves. And once you start buying them and start creating your arsenal, we really are allowing the player to kind of mix and match that stuff and orchestrate in the way that they feel fit. And that's the part of the game that we're really kind of pushing, the ability to pick up and play, have a lot of fun, but at the same time collect things, collect moves, collect weapons, and allow the player then to kind of mix and match them in the way they see fit.
Now, you're going for a really epic kind of story with this one. Obviously, the cinematics and the gameplay and the audio will match that. How hard is that to create for a video game as opposed to a film?
Well, that's something we struggle with as an industry, right? I think we've turned a corner the past few years with the cinematic feel and how the depth we're getting into our games. We talk a lot about things, not just the graphic quality, but we talk about the use of cameras. And this game is, we spend a lot of time focusing on bringing those elements together. Not just, does something look pretty graphically, but how are we framing it? How does the camera work? that's something that we're we don't have the luxury in video games to put our medium out there and just have people look at it. We hand over a controller and we allow people to interact with our medium, and so it's been a long time coming in games, but I think as an industry we're all turning the corner there and really starting to put stuff out on the shelves that visually and thematically and from a camera standpoint is starting to rival some things we're starting to see out there in film and video.
And lastly, we're seeing a lot of religious themes. You mentioned Revelations in this one. Why is everyone drawing on religion all of a sudden? We've got Dante's Inferno and looking at the various circles of hell and Darksiders as well. Is it the new rhythm game of the month?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's the global depression. I don't know what it is. To be honest, it's one thing that it just has tons of room to explore, and it's something that's a common theme throughout mankind since the beginning of mankind. Every culture, every group of people, have their creation story and then they have their termination story, right? And it's fascinating to see, to learn about that. And I think the Revelations, is an epic story, and it's one of the stories in the Bible that really kind of gets not really examined that well. And again, to Joe's credit and team's credit and everybody, they've really been able to leverage that great epic story.
And lastly, when's it out and which platforms and when can we expect it?
We're looking to release at the end of the year, and we're looking at PS3 and Xbox 360.
We're going to check in with the community now, and as Laura mentioned at the top of the show, we had an Infamous event that we held in Sydney last weekend. Cos, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so on Saturday we went to Sony's Aussie HQ here in Sydney. We brought along around 20 community members and they got hands-on time with Infamous before it comes out next week. Here are their thoughts on the game. Hey, I'm James Kozanecki for GameSpot.au. We're here at the Infamous community event. Now we're going to chat to some of the guys to see what they think about the game. So what do you think of the game so far?
Oh, it's excellent. The graphics and the just the artwork alone is fantastic.
It's like electrically charged Grand Theft Auto.
I love Grand Theft Auto and it's the same sort of thing, so I love it.
I think it's better than Grand Theft Auto.
So what have you done in the game?
Well, first of all, I've been jumping off big buildings and slamming down, trying to kill as many people as possible. Epic destruction. Absolute chaos.
You can climb up anything, man. It's fantastic. Like just leaping around like a monkey.
If they've got some multiplayer going on, that'd be pretty exciting, but this single player is really sweet.
I've completed about six missions, explored some stuff, determined that I'd probably rather be a good guy than a bad guy. So yeah.
I think you're the only good guy in this room. Everyone I've spoken to so far is being bad.
Oh, I'm evil, man.
Evil, come on.
I'm basically evil.
I'm rotten.
I'm playing as bad. Is there anything better?
Very fun, just walking around with electricity and blowing stuff up.
There's a lot more fun to it, and you get to make the civilians do things they don't want to do.
Everyone's being evil today. Why do you think that is?
It's easier.
Look, man, the world's going to shit, the economy's screwed. That's the apocalypse, so why not, I've been a goody two-shoes my entire life. It's time for a bit of fun.
Not many games give you the opportunity to just do whatever you want, and if it makes you evil in the process, then I guess that's just why.
Yeah, I wanted to be different. I think it's actually harder to be good, so that's why I thought I'd give it a try.
I think I'd like more opportunities for choices. I suppose I've only been playing for half an hour, but I've only had two. And I suppose the more everyday running around and killing as opposed to the mission-focused choices, if everything you did attributed to it.
So did you kill the old lady then?
For sure.
Do you think this is plausibly going to happen if we don't get out of the recession?
I think very much so, man. I think someone's going to lose their mind and, bomb like a power station. There's going to be like a big cataclysm. And then this is me.
We brought the whole family back onto the set for this one. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're looking forward to at E3 for next week. Before we do that, Cos, quickly take us through what's coming out this week in Australia before E3.
Right, headlining the releases is Guitar Hero Metallica for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii and PS2. A week ahead of the movie is Terminator Salvation, the game, for PlayStation 3, 360 and PC. We've got Battle Stations Pacific for the PC and Xbox 360, and finally we have Virtua Tennis 2009 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Thanks for that, Cos. Before we wrap up the show, next week is Gamer Christmas with E3 happening. Cos and I, unfortunately, are staying here, but Dan and Laura heading up to LA to report on behalf of GameSpot AU.
Yeah.
High five, Dan. Yes.
It's going to be a great week in the office without them. Party every day.
It might very well be the best week of my life, but I think everyone's forecasting this is going to be a massive show. I just want to ask you guys, before we sign off, what are you most looking forward to at E3? Dan?
Yeah, look, to single anything out would be a crime. But Booth Babes are definitely on the order for this year.
Because they're back.
They're back this year, and Rock Band Beatles, I think, is going to be an amazing one.
Those are two very good things that you mentioned. Cos, what about you?
I think whatever the big boss announcement for the next Metal Gear game will be awesome. Modern Warfare 2 from Activision and Half-Life Episode 3 it's there.
Yeah, okay, Laura, what about you?
Oh, Beatles Rock Band. So we're looking forward to that.
You stole Dan's idea.
I didn't steal it. Everyone's looking forward to Beatles Rock Band. Beyond Good and Evil 2, God of War 3, and Bayonetta.
Oh, Bayonetta. I'm really looking forward to Bayonetta as well. I think personally, I do want to see what Team Ico is up to, because there's been, a bit of footage that's coming out. And yeah, believe it or not, I want to see what DJ Hero actually plays like, and what Ride, like how that
New
peripheral,
Tony Hawk,
how that peripheral is going to work.
It's going to be a huge year.
Yeah. And GameSpot is going to be all over the show, so stick with the site next week. Otherwise, we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next Crosshairs. So, bye everyone.
See ya.
See you guys.
Maybe do it and then just like cup it. So just like, oh.
No, we're not happy about the fact that you have gonorrhea. We're
He's not, but he would be
worried. Like, that kind of thing.